Please join me in welcoming Seun.
So I want to thank my fellow musicians, most importantly, for coming out. You connect the people to the ancestors, so it's very important when I see my colleagues around to always pay homage and give thanks. Thanks to everybody that organized this, the university for allowing us in their space, members of MOP, and the general public for coming to African Liberation Day. Give yourselves a round of applause. I say this at my shows, but I'll say it here as well, For coming to African Liberation Day, you are the best people in Brunel University and around this Oxbridge area, and anywhere in London that you have come from, or the United Kingdom, you are the best people. You are the absolutely best. You are the absolute best people. I don't care what anybody says. My comrade Tolu has already, outdone me. He came too prepared with slides. Well, in my defense, I'm in the middle of a tour. I look forward to this event to share my thoughts on how we can help our nations and our continent as well to advance in these times that we are in, especially when the world's richest man's heart is going out so ferociously and aggressively to everybody. If the richest man in the world is throwing fascist salutes, I think African people need to sit up. And I think one of the things that we forget is that one of Hitler's biggest supporters were Jews. People forget that the rich Jews, the elitist Jews, the educated, the industrialist Jews that put all the money behind Hitler when he first popped out. Because Hitler was against the gays. People forget that too. His first target wasn't the Jewish people or the socialists. The socialists were second. But the first was, he was a moral soldier. Why all these homosexuals around? Why all these men kissing men? And all that shit. And these Jews, are like, being children of God and moral, upstanding, spiritual. Yes! Hitler is the one. And today, because of our lack of organization of African people, there's a lot of, I see similarities in us and those led to the slaughter. In that our brightest, famous people are all lining up behind fascists because fascists tell them that they hate transgender and gay people too. Nothing should align us with fascists. Nothing whatsoever should align African people with fascists. We must remember that as we continue to seek clarity in a world that does nothing but confuse us as African people, it is easy to confuse us now. because our attention is captured. We all live in a world of, everybody to a certain extent, even I myself, everybody here, the elites have captured our attention to a certain extent. We have to submit our attention to them. That's their greatest power. But some of us are able to find time out of this captivity, to create our own reality and live in it. Because what they want us to believe, most especially, is that they are the only ones that are allowed to exist in a reality. And everybody else plays the game of surviving in their reality. And African people are the only people with the opportunity, through organization, only through organization. We are the only people that exist with the opportunity to break this cycle. This for me is what has inspired MOP in my heart and what I do, the work we do in my music, in my day-to-day, and in my life and everything. To speak to African people about uniting, for me, is to speak to ants about a colony, to speak to fishes about being in the sea, and all that. All we do is unite. All we do is come together. We don't know any other way to be. And as I just said to you, because they have captured our attention, they understand that they cannot stop us from being these things. We are constantly united. We are always united. But what can they do? They must put our attention and this energy into something that fits and suits their purpose. What is a nightclub if it is not black people fucking uniting and organizing? Call a block party, we are there 10,000 strong. Tickets sold out in 1 week. Do you think that started today? 500 years ago, we were under the trees in big square in our fucking villages, in the square in our ancestral homes, and everybody would come together. And even when we would duel, we would do with words and poetry, not with, turn your back and take 10 steps and turn and shoot them. We are the true social people. But those spaces were used to also, not only to entertain, as we entertained ourselves, we built our connections, we built our communities, we built those things that made us human. We spoke about those things that affected all of us, and it was a way of building community. Today, 1,000 African people in a club, we're not there trying to build camaraderie. I'm trying to let you know that my shoes are better than your shoes, motherfucker. And I can buy more drinks than you here tonight. I was saying to a friend just today, I was watching Sinners, Ryan Coogler's movie. His new movie, and I'm so happy I didn't pay for that shit. I almost went to the cinema to pay for that shit. The way they talked it up. But I know it's Ryan, bruh. It's Ryan. I saw him, the game he played with all of you in Wakanda Week. That's what I call it. Black Panther, the week he came out, Wakanda Week. Even friends that they don't know had dashikis. That's right. The ones that surprised me were the ones that popped out with the nigga, you have a djembe. I'm saying this to let you know that we unite. Wakanda Week is another big example of our unity. How we can be sold to ourselves and told when to be ourselves, and that is when we are happy to be ourselves. Wakanda Week, everybody was African. Listen, when I say everybody was African, everybody. African people I never saw in nothing but Western clothes. The kids, everybody. This guy had, I don't want to say it, but he had a djembe. He had a neck thing. I was like, Because that week, the Europeans have told all of us, it's fine to be African this week. It is. Come out as your true selves. And what did we come out to celebrate? And I always use Wakanda as an example in this bullshit place that has all the money and tech to free all of us from our oppression, but they hide. And they even use an invisibility cloak. So even if you mistakenly stumble across the place, you won't see it. That's how, the first person they allow in is a CIA agent. Listen, they want you to think this way is African. I'm getting to something because I wasn't going to use this word, but it happened today. So I was like, okay, ancestors made me see this movie today, so I could say this. Wakanda reminds me of African elites. The way they hide their wealth, and hide their know-how and their service and whatever service they can give to anyone they want to give up, not with or down, just up to oppress us. So I understood why Wakanda was so popular with them, and they were willing to gather all the force to become Wakandans, because if we can celebrate a country that is so selfish, why would we hate on any African elite? They just being Wakanda, And in the film today, I watched how, he just like in Black Panther, explained quite all right that these resources should be for African liberation, but then warped the idea into something crazy. And I watched today how he spoke about our art and how our music was spiritual. And I was saying to my friend, like, you understand why when you take these things that stir the soul, that is used to praise our gods and lift our spirits into God mode, and then you sing it to just one woman. I say, you're the best thing ever did. Yes, they say it's romantic, but you understand how that diminishes what that is for. When you begin to personalize the spiritual. And as that music diminishes into that space that we had that was spiritual, that we united as Africans, that space where our art came into also diminished. And as the music diminished, it became me and you. Now it's, for me and you, it became, well, let me just sleep with you, baby. Now it's like, put that booty on my face, just like, And the spaces has also diminished according to these things, and not because we are not there, but we are not there as we are supposed to be. It's because we are not there as we are supposed to be. So, the United Kingdom, what's so united about the British man and the Welsh, and the British and the Irish man? What's so united about these guys? How much do Englishmen like Scottish men, and do they want to spend their lifetime dancing and singing together? Where is this European Union? Where is the unity in there? The last I checked, the French cannot stand the Germans. The Italians, the Spanish and the Portuguese, the Belgians and the Dutch, well, the Germans hate everybody. unity this unity that is sold to us that we think it is, and it's not a unity of let's go dance into the sunset. When we speak about unity, it's a unity of purpose, an understanding of, okay, so I think we want unity to mean you must be me. You must see what I've seen, go through what I've gone through, to nah. We can only be united in the manifestations of what we go through under oppression. What you go through and what I go through might never be the same. I might never experience from this world what you will experience from it, good or bad. But I guarantee you that is manifestation in our lives. If we stick to that and to understand as African people how to embrace and change that, that is the step in the direction of unification. And that is where organizing becomes interesting for us. But as long as we are still trapped in the way they've captured our minds, in the Wakanda style thinking, we will continue to be present, but not in the way we are supposed to be. Am I losing anybody? And just to end what I'm going to say today, because the young lady here, now I as the Proterm chairman of MOP, these are my views alone. Because everybody in MOP2 is a fan of the military regimes in the Sahel. Nobody is listening to me. But this is 2025, and I refuse to believe that Africans deserve military dictatorship. Regardless, I grew up under these motherfuckers. And this is how they start. And you all think that we've been here and we've done this shit. I repeat, we've been here and we've done this shit. We've been here and we've done this shit. Not a single one of them has anything to show for the 40 years that they ruled Africa. There is no new manifestation that can come out from this European institution called the African military. This is not an African people's movement. This is not an African people's liberation militia. This is an African military man from the institution of the African military, anywhere on the continent. They tout Sankara as their hero. They killed him. Yes. Don't forget that shit. Yes. You might say, the military, but Sankara came from the military killed him too. And that is how they destroyed every single little token that they built in Africa in that 40 years. In my country, all the refineries they built in the beginning to tout themselves as, they destroyed it before them. Yeah. Every road they built, they destroyed. Every institution they built, they destroyed. Every business they built, they destroyed. So, I want to make all of you understand, it is your responsibility as African professionals to liberate Africa, not the African military. It is because you want to negate your responsibilities. We want this hero worship, Messiah, so that we can go and sleep at night. I say it myself for my country. Nigerians want to go in the club one night, drink, party, dance, come out, and just be like, wow! Great! Wait, who did this? Can someone buy this man a drink, please? African liberation is in the hands of African people, not in any of these neo-colonial institutions and their puppets. The French boot is no more wicked than the Russian boot. You cannot tell me that Putin is in Africa to serve the interests of African people. When anybody is trying to sell that to African people, that is dangerous. This Soviet Union and this Russia is not the Soviet Union. This Russia of today, Russia, or the African colonial, wasn't this Russia. Lenin will shoot Putin in the face. Vladimir Lenin will shoot Vladimir Putin in the face. We must not be led down this road of another neocolonialism. Putin is an oligarch, a capitalist, ruthless oligarch. Yes. We are not Europeans. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. Yes. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. Africans have played this game for far too long. We played it with the Arabs. They took North Africa. We played it with the Arabs, and that's why you say Gaddafi was trying to liberate Africa. No, Gaddafi was trying to recolonize African people. Yes. And it is the laziness, I repeat, it is the laziness of the African professional who has refused to liberate his people with his talents. So he falls in line to act like he has done something. He wants his liberation to be by a post. Support Traore. Okay, I post Traore, so I've liberated my people. He doesn't want to do the work. He doesn't want to lend his talent. Your talent as African people cannot be divorced from your national development. If you want the continent to grow, you must engage with your talent. As you engage your talent with the system, to eat, to feed yourself, to do some things, you must find the time. And what is sickening is that the time your people need is not a lot. It's only when they say, come for a meeting, that is certainly difficult to move. It's not difficult to move to the all-night party. It's not difficult to move to the brunch, to the midday get-together, to the afternoon pool party. It is not even difficult to move for the location weddings and get away passport bros to Colombia. I see all of you. I see you moving, except to the meetings. Okay? So we must understand as African people that these institutions, our banking institutions, military institutions, educational institutions, as is, cannot create liberators. Cannot create liberators. And we in Africa in 2025 cannot fall in line behind dictators. Hold your election. Put the fucking uniform. Yes. What's going on here? Why are we acting like children? Well, let's wait and see. Sir, we can't wait and see. We waited and we saw for 40 years. My whole generation, my whole 2 generations wasted. Behind these motherfuckers. To waste another 2 generations.
Build on what had gone before.
That who did before?
Sankara did before. That's why he did.
Sankara, right, was murdered by these same people. Yes. And they ruled for 36 years after his death. Yes. What are we waiting for them to build on? He didn't remove Kampore from power. The military of Burkina Faso did not remove Kampore that murdered Sankara from power. The people of Burkina Faso rose up against Kampore's dictatorship, yes, removed him from power. Now they've come back again with style. Just immediately. With that. For 36 years they did nothing about Kampore that murdered Sankara, but after we, the people, removed him, now they are back again for revolution. Where was this revolution under Kampore? Where was it? Was Kampore moving the country forward? Where was he? Serving the regime happily? Yes. But as soon as the people took power, now you have too much in France. Please.
But they have traitors, they have patriots. That Kampore was a traitor.
the military of Africa are all traitors. And they killed him. The exception to the rule. And they killed him. And they killed him. Should we go through Sankara's history? Did Sankara ever do a coup? Never. Never. Sankara, let's go to the history. Sankara was the vice president. You could say that was his role already. And he was already becoming a civilian. He was leading a popular people's movement. He was already leading a popular people's movement. So the president arrested him and put him in jail to stop him from taking power democratically. And then Blaise Compaoré did the coup. Not we, Compaoré, Sankara was in jail. How can you say he was in jail? He didn't even know Blaise was planning the coup. Blaise did the coup and imposed Sankara as the leader of his government. That's what happened. And refused throughout to follow Sankara's lead. And that's why the more Sankara pan-Africanized, immediately one person says election is in jail. And stop saying he's not jailing people. There are no protests in Burkina Faso because people are being thrown in jail. Not different. I'm not saying. So it's not different. My argument exactly. We the people still need to liberate ourselves. This is not our liberation. We need to do our work to liberate our people. It is not in the hands of the African military institutions or any of Africa's security institutions or forces. They are collaborators of neocolonialism on all different and all at every level. That's why he's telling us Putin is a savior. Why are we talking about Putin in Africa? If you want to know why we're talking about Putin in Africa, go and look at the investment of Russian oligarchs in the Sahel mines. When you look at the amount of money the Russian billionaires have in the Sahel region, in the mine ownership there, you know why Putin's name is ringing all over that place. We can't do that. We are not Europeans. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. I don't know him. He's just the enemy of my enemy. He might be my enemy too. The elections are only rigged because you are not involved. Yes. We are not involved in the process of our elections. We all sit back, relax, and let news and agents of our destruction dictate to us what is going on in our land. We are not card-carrying members of any political movement. That's why we feel it is okay to support dictators. We all go out and do these protests for these dictators and then go to our homes to sleep. We don't care what happens to the people after that. Because when they entrench themselves in power, will you protest that hard to free the people of Burkina Faso? That time it will not be trendy though. Influencers will not be telling you about what is going on there every second. So that you know what the people are going through.
Hello, who do we have as our ally? Every country.
Ourselves. Because this, why are we looking for allies? We are the richest, most powerful continent in the world. Why are we looking for allies? Wait, but anyway, no, but seriously, to be honest, Nana Henry Clark said it the best. Africans have no friends. Nana Henry Clark said it well enough. That the only thing we owe anybody in this world is an ass whooping. Yes. And I stand on that 10 toes. Henry Clark said, we don't owe, Africans have no friends. And when I look at the geopolitics of this world, I know that we have no friends. No friends. And the only thing we owe anybody is an ass whooping. And as long as we're not dishing that out, let's at least keep our sense. You know? Let's keep our sense. I'm okay if you say Putin is an ally. Not that Putin is Africa's brother. That is not allyship. That is misdirection. Africans too start thinking, oh, Putin's leadership is some kind of proper leadership too.
No. But we need an ally. And we have no military.
Ourselves.
What are we going to use?
Who is going to protect African people? No, wait. I want to put it to you, ma'am, that if Putin himself says in Russia to the people of Russia that hello Russian people, I want to put African interests ahead of Russian interests, they will put him out of power.
That's right. But we need an ally.
What for?
But to do what? Why are we not aligning with each other? Why are we not aligning with each other?
Yes, we need some military.
Well, I'm okay with allyship. Let's align together. The African Union is there. Nobody's making it work. They're not paying their dues. These leaders that we have, this current set, they're about their interest. You know, to anybody to sell me some dictatorship in 2025 is stale. I'm not a teenager, I'm not in my 20s. I'm 42, and I grew up under an African military leadership. And I lived through all the continents going through this shit. And this is exactly, like, this is deja vu. I'm like, you know, but hey, fascism is coming back in the West. So, hey, listen, we are not the only stupid people around. We are not the only stupid people around, don't worry. I'm just trying to say we shouldn't be stupid because everybody is being stupid, but listen, fascism is back in the West, so hey, we'll go.
It's never gone.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you say that it's okay for Putin to be Africa's ally at this moment
No.
in time? No. Okay, so let me ask you this. So what do you think is in Traore and Burkina Faso and the whole of Africa's best interest right now in terms of how his relationship should go with Putin? If you think Putin and it is not good for him at all, what do you think is in his best interest and in the best interest of the whole of Africa?
I don't know what his relationship with Putin is. I'm not in their meeting, but I'll tell you what is in the best interest of all African people. A democratic, pan-Africanist, socialist movement.
And how we
By engaging and organizing and creating it largely doesn't exist except
Sorry, we need him to answer, please.
Except-
Order, people.
except the economic freedom fighters in South Africa. I don't see any big political movement, and maybe the MOP in Nigeria.
Liberation generation.
It doesn't mean we cannot build them. If they don't exist, doesn't mean we fall in line with dictators because what we want doesn't exist. If the solution doesn't exist, that's what I'm saying, our talents cannot be divorced from our development. If you people want the right thing, that is the right thing. And you have to be the ones to do it. Not Putin. Not Macron. Or any of the NGOs. We. What we need, I repeat, is a democratic, socialist, pan-Africanist movement.
Government.
Last one. Because people's military, our own military. Militaries embedded with our own code.
where do we get that from?
Where do we get that what? The same place the Chinese got their own.
Exactly.
Chinese, where did the Chinese get weapons from? Where did the Russians get weapons from? Where did the Russians get it from? They built it. Where did they get the raw material? Wow.
We have no factories.
Where are the factories? So those places, why did they get factories there? They built them.
Are you going to give this guy a chance or not? He's only got in and he's trying to do something. And you're already trying to pull it down. And you're probably right. but probably isn't fact.
If the premise for an argument is false, the conclusion will always be false. Now, hello, one question.
I don't understand. Sorry.
And I'm just requesting permission to speak for just 1 minute. Guys, the reason why I'm requesting permission, number one, we took the mic from Brother Seun. That is not good. When we are in church, when we are in other meetings, when we are at work, we listen to one another. But to answer the questions we have asked, because we need to look at the necessity of history and education.
Yes.
Our history shows us what happens every time we ally with people. Our allies are ourselves.
Yes.
The problem is we keep trying to divorce the responsibility from ourselves.
Yes.
You can work when it is for Babylon. You know how to clock in on time. When it is for you are late. When it is for our feeding, we cannot serve. When it is our children, we cannot do it. Our children will be served in this country, we will stay here and work. Our children will suffer in this country, we will stay here and work. We are part of the NHS, but we are 4 or 5 times more likely to die in childbirth. We haven't made any difference. Whether we are lawyers, whether we are, and that's not to say that individually we cannot do what we can, but when you ask who is coming, no one is coming to save Africa. You are your own savior. If you have a talent, everybody was endowed with at least one. If your talent is to talk, use your voice. If you cannot use your voice, use your body. If you cannot use your body, use your thoughts. But first, we must get rid of Babylon. Someone has Babylon in our homes, on our TV, in our minds. Someone in your bed is Babylon. We talk to people in direction. Sometimes in our stomachs is Babylon. We want to be fed by others. We want to be educated by others. We want to be taught by others. The responsibility is ours alone. And I just want to say, stop inviting people to the cookout. Stop having honorary guests. I want alone.
Thank you. I just really want to make it clear because even I get asked this a lot because my dad being a musician has a famous quote, "Oh, music is the weapon," and I think for that reason, in a way, that's why I'm an artist standing here. Why is the exactly, and the little text. I feel personally, music, and I said to the journalist, I said, yes. I said, do you think your father was right? Like, music is the weapon of the future. I'm like, I think he was very right, as music being one of the weapons. But even if it is the weapon, it is still not the battle. You understand? So, music can do so little in a world where our lawyers don't care about justice. Our doctors don't care about our health. Our teachers don't care about educating us. Our professors don't care. Nobody cares. So that's why everybody loves someone like Traore. In my country too, we have Peter Obi, all these challenges, and they just line up immediately because it negates their responsibility immediately. Yeah, this guy is doing it too. Listen, there's no, when they say African, no. I don't critique us based on that. We are not educated to understand that. It is not our fault. But what is our fault is that we continue to believe it as grown-ups. Everybody is educated to use their talent to make some money. Every doctor in my country, we have songs that they teach you from a kid. If you read your book, your shoes will sound loud because you get a good job to make money. There's nothing about your job connecting to any larger purpose. It is to make money. So I understand. It is not that it is our fault that we are educated wrong. But to stay that way is where we have a problem. So it's not about aligning with Russia, nah. Technology is transferable. Nobody owns it. If I want to build a factory, and we have the means and the wealth, but our rich people in Africa rather have 10 Rolls Royces, 50 houses, 20 in London, than to put the money where it's supposed to be in helping our people achieve their potential. bringing our imaginations to light, you know. So that's why we need a democratic, Pan-Africanist, socialist movement to take over power all over the continent.
All over.
All over.
Yeah.